Last month, a couple sat in my office, both 62, excited to retire at 67. I asked them one question. What's your plan if Social Security gets cut when you're 73? The husband looks at me and says, cut? They can't cut it. We paid in for 40 years. That sentence right there. That's why I'm making this video. Because paying in for 40 years doesn't guarantee full payment when the fund runs empty in 2033. And they're not the first couple to assume it does. If you were born in 1960 or later, congratulations. You just reached the full retirement age of 67. Now let me tell you why that number doesn't matter anymore. The Social Security Trust Fund is projected to run out in 2033. So here's what that means if you retire at 67 today. By the time you're 73, the fund is empty. But if you live to 85, which most people in decent health do, you're looking at 12 years of reduced benefits, only 79% of what you were promised. So basically, the government is asking you to retire at 67 and then live longer than the system can afford to pay you. Now, that's not a retirement plan. That's a serious gap. Let's walk through what that actually looks like. You retire at 67, you're healthy, you're active, you're traveling, but at 73, your benefits get cut at 21%. So you're adjusting your lifestyle in your early 70s. But here's what that actually means. You're in your late 70s now. Healthcare costs are the highest. Your energy is lowest. Your spouse might be gone. And that's when you're most vulnerable. The system cuts your income. Not when you're 67 and healthy, when you're 78 and you need it the most. Most financial advisors will tell you, don't worry, they'll fix it. They always do. And we hope they do, that Social Security will be there. Now, I've been doing this for 35 years. I survived the dot-com crash, 2008, COVID, even the Wall Street market crash back in 1987. One thing anyone who's lived as long as we have can tell you, sometimes the things people say they'll fix before they become problems, they actually fix it after people get hurt. But even more than that, I learned this lesson before I even became a financial advisor. I actually learned this lesson twice. Once when my father's business failed. He generally thought he'd have time to prepare when things got bad. Then again, when my wife got cancer. Now, we had insurance, Medicare, everything they tell you to have. Still face thousands in out-of-pocket expenses. Not to mention the cost of not being able to work as I tended to her. That's when I realized the gap between what you think the system covers and what it actually covers when you need it, that gap is where people get hurt. Which is why I don't build retirement plans that assume the system will deliver. I build plans that are designed to work when it doesn't. Here's what makes this different from every other retirement challenge. Your parents' generation retired at 65. Many didn't make it to 80. Retirement was 10, maybe 15 years. But you're planning for 25, 30, maybe 35 years across multiple phases of life. Active years, healthcare heavy years, potential long-term care years. The system was never designed for that. And the math proves it. Retirement age, 67. Trust fund empty, 2033. Average life expectancy, 85 plus. The timeline doesn't work. So most advisors are going to build you a plan that assumes Social Security pays 100%. They'll run projections, show you nice graphs, tell you everything is going to be fine. But I'm going to build you a plan that works if Social Security pays 79% or 70%, or if they raise the retirement age to 70, or if they means test benefits and you don't qualify for full amounts. Listen, hope isn't a strategy. And counting on institutions to fix themselves before you need them, that has never worked out well for the people doing the counting. Remember that couple I mentioned at the start? The ones who said they can't cut it, we paid in? We rebuilt their plan. Same retirement age, same lifestyle goals. But we assume Social Security pays 75%, not 100%. And you know what happened? They actually felt more confident. Not because the numbers were better, but because the plan was real. The wife said something I'll never forget. I'd rather plan for 75% and be pleasantly surprised than plan for 100% and be devastated. That's the difference between hoping and planning. So what do you actually do? First, stop planning like the system will deliver what it promised. Social Security should be a supplement to your retirement income, not the foundation. Second, diversify your income sources. If Social Security is 50% of your retirement income and it gets cut by 21%, you just lost 10% of your total income. That's the difference between comfortable and cutting back. Third, build protection before you need it. Because at 73, when the trust fund runs out, it's too late to start planning. That couple, we built their protection at 62, when they still had time to adjust. Therefore, when 2033 comes around, and it will, they'll be fine. Not because the system worked, because their plan didn't depend on it. Look, you worked 40 plus years. You paid into the system. You did everything you were supposed to do. And the math still doesn't add up. That's not your fault, but it is your problem to solve, because Congress isn't going to fix this before 2033. They're going to fix it after it becomes a crisis. Therefore, waiting for them means waiting until you are already hurt, and you can't afford to wait for that. That couple sitting in my office, they're not worried anymore. But not because I told them Social Security would be fine. Because I showed them how to position their finances, even if it's not. I work to make sure my clients are prepared for the system that exists, not just the system they hope exists. And we need to be honest about this. The system isn't built to protect you. Therefore, your plan has to. If you're between ages 55 and 70 right now, Social Security is a significant part of your retirement plan. You need to know what happens to your plan when the trust fund runs out. I walk people through this every day. It's not about scaring you. It's about building a retirement plan that works even when the systems fail. Because in my experience, both professional and personal, in one way or another, they usually do. So click the link below to schedule a conversation. Let's make sure your plan works, even if Social Security doesn't. Let's build that plan together.